So I have a lot of these planters I make where they're stacked, they're elevated so I don't have to bend down. Hi, this is Robbie from Southern California and Kitty. Well, today I'm going to plant a tomato plant in them, but sometimes I drop in a second pot. It could be for various reasons. It could be because I want to remove the pot, move it somewhere else later, or maybe I want to make it bigger. Well, I'll show you how I'm going to do that, and then you're going to see the end result on why my tomato plant is now hiding behind the flag. So here I'm going to plant a tomato plant in this pot. You'll see it in a second. It's 2 pots put together, but it had a big sow thistle growing. It's a weed. I actually use the greens for a green drink. Whatever was originally growing in there, it could have been a cabbage or lettuce. It was long gone, so the sow thistle took over now. So see how it's put together? It's a stand is what it is. Now, tearing it apart, it's unbelievable how many roots a weed like a sow thistle can grow. That's why you don't want weeds in with your vegetable plants, because they get a massive root system and it takes away from your vegetable plants. Now I'm going to add another pot. See how big it is? You've only got half of it for a pot because the other pot is a stand. Now Gary was using this for doing cement work. He was making blocks, and this pot he had that he cut the bottom out is bigger than the pot that I was using, which is good because it's going to give me lift. I'm going to have more soil in there. Now what I'm putting on here is fabric. You know, I make fabric pots. I had a piece of fabric and I thought I would dress it up just a little bit because it's kind of got, marks from cement and stuff on it. It might look a little nicer once it's all done. So for now, I'll just kind of slip it on and leave it. Once it's all put together, I can slide the fabric around where I want it. I'll dress it up a little bit. See how much lift I've got there? I can get probably another half a gallon of soil in there once it's, all breaks down. Now on the bottom, I put a bunch of paper, my X-bills that have been shredded, and you see the leaves, the sow thistle went in. Anything I've got, toilet paper rolls, there was some kitchen scraps I've got that went in there. They were sitting on the deck for so long, they turned brown, they were breaking down, but that's okay. Remember the pictures I put around in my totes? And they had fabulous stuff in it. Well, I've got another one I'm taking apart, another tote, so I pulled the picture out. Might as well use that because that is fantastic. That is compost. Maybe a little dry because shame on me, I didn't water it. But it's still fabulous to use because I know what was in it. The worms are gone. They finished it and they left. So I'm using that. Now I have an empty pitcher. I'll set it up again. And then more greens, whatever I got from the deck. See, more sow thistle leaves. That was a pretty big sow thistle. It was like 3 foot tall. Now, I just realized, shame on me, I forgot to put my irrigation tubing in. See, I forget a lot. So I went ahead and grabbed it, and I'm going to cut 3 pieces. Now, I could do 4, I could do 5, I could do 2, but for this one, I think I'm going to do 3, and I can make it any length I want. I could go just to the top of the edge of the pot. I could go taller, and this time I just kind of cut it, and it's going to go a couple inches taller than the pot. Not for any particular reason. So I'm going to get them lined up, so it will be like a tomato cage. And I'm going to put them where I want them, and then I'm going to have to make holes as soon as I'm ready to put it in. I'm still loading it up because I can do the holes towards the top. I'm only going to put in on each one zip tie per tubing. Now I want to show you here, if you've got offcuts from PVC pipe, you can do the same thing. Now the pipe's a little big and your tomato stakes will wiggle around, but if you've got it, go ahead and use it. And then of course you'd have to have a cutters because you can't just cut it with scissors. You need a hacksaw or a cutters. But I was going to get PVC. I had come up with that idea, but PVC costs 50 cents a foot and it's harder to cut and handle, where the irrigation tubing I looked at, I figured it would be so much cheaper and easier for anybody to use. That wire is rebar wire. And Gary uses that. That's very cheap. You get so much for $10. If you would rather use that than zip ties, then go ahead and use that. I prefer zip ties. That wire will probably rust as it's being used, which is fine, but it's very stiff and hard for me to use. So here I make my holes with a soldering iron. It's quick, it's fast, and I love it. But of course you can use a drill if you want. And you make a hole on each side because you're going to tie in the tubing. Once the tubing is tied in, it's much stronger to do it this way than to zip tie in your stakes. Plus you can take a stake in and out when the tubing's like this, but it's much more secure, I have found. Believe you me, I've been using it for a while. See how quick the zip tie goes in? It's like that quick. And if you feel like putting more than one zip tie, go ahead. should it break, you just go put another one in. Now I'm going to make 4 holes here because I'm going to use that wire. Now I found the wire more difficult to use. You've got to really work with it because it's so stiff, and I had to pull it through with a pair of pliers, and then I tied it. And then what I did was I put the points towards the pot. See, the cut ends, which are sharp, they're going to be pushed up against the pot, and this way you won't, when you reach in, you won't accidentally cut yourself. So now this one's going to have a zip tie and the wire on there, but I wanted you to see how easy it is to use that too if you prefer. So as you can see, I put my zip ties on the inside. This way the little knot from the zip tie is on the inside, and when I slide my pot into the other one, it won't get hung up on the little knot from the zip tie, but you can put it on any way you want. Now when you're using a zip tie, here I want you to see the right way and the wrong way. That will not work. If you put it point towards you, it won't zip. It won't grip that way. You always want to go on the flat end and go in from the back. See the flat end, and then you can get the zip tie in. Now it's just a matter of putting in your soil, topping it up. And with all that paper, it may go down later, during the week, and I'll just add some more soil. And there is my Brandywine tomato that I picked up at the 99-cent store. There was 2 in 1 pot, and I separated it a couple weeks ago. It's doing fantastic. Now it's trying to grow tomatoes, and I know you have to do it. I'm trimming them off because I want the plant to concentrate on growing new roots, get the root system going, and then growing height. So we don't want it to try to grow fruit yet. It probably thought it was going out, being in a little pot and struggling, and it figured it better throw fruit. Now I want it to grow into a big, beautiful plant. Now I'm going to take the bottom leaves off. I only drop my plants, tomato plants in maybe 2 to 3 inches, if that. Sometimes I barely drop them in. But you don't want the bottom leaves to be touching wet soil. That's where you can end up with problems with your plant. So trim all the bottom leaves off completely. Now I've dropped it down about 2 inches, and now I'm going to finish with the soil. And yes, this soil's got the roots from the sow thistle, but that'll be fine. And then I could top it with a little bit of potting soil if I want. And like I said, I'll probably have to come back in a few days if it drifts down a little bit, and I'll add in a little more soil. This is how easy it is to plant a tomato plant. And now when that plant starts to take off, I'll be ready to put the stakes in. See that? Now I could have made them shorter. This time I made them longer just because that's the way I cut it. And I'll get the fabric pulled up. You'll see it soon. But look, it literally, the whole thing took me less than 15 minutes, and then it was done. Isn't that cool? Now I don't have to think about a tomato cage later as the plant gets bigger. I'm going to put in any size stakes I want, whether 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot. And look at that, 3 stakes, and then we'll wind it around later. You'll see how it goes. And now just a good watering to get this plant going. And of course my little helper's there. It's bright and sunny today, but she's there. She wants to make sure that tomato plant is planted in right. And that's it. It's that simple to do. But get those irrigation pipes, because you know what? What you're looking at didn't even cost me 30 cents. There it is. Brandywine. So this is how easy it is to make a tomato cage out of the irrigation pipe. And then again, like I was saying, it's sturdy, and those 3 pipes weren't even 30 cents. You can't beat that. Then you can use anything you want. Bamboo sticks, you can use tomato stakes, you can use branches off a tree, whatever will work for you. The other one is still in here. I haven't planted it yet. See, there it is. Let's move the top for a minute so you can see it. That's the one I separated over a couple weeks ago already. They're both doing fantastic. This one I think Gary's going to put in his garden. So I'm going to put it back in here. See, it's been protected because we've been freezing at night. And now I might wrap this one in plastic, and I'll pull this down and make this look really pretty and just give it a nice little look once I get it all done using 2 hands. Of course, I could have used more fabric, but that was just a leftover piece. I thought I'd put it around and kind of give it a little bit of a dress up. But you don't have to do anything, and I didn't need to do anything, but maybe she wanted it. I don't know. She's still watching me. Oh, we all know what she wants. Now to work on this, I use my soldering iron, but here's the thing. I love this unit. See, it is off right now, and if I want to use it, it will go on, but I don't want to use it, so I turn it off. And notice I'm using a metal chair to hold my soldering iron, but I can use that anywhere in the yard. I don't have to look for an outlet. It's a small, portable, rechargeable power station, perfect for an emergency or to charge your cell phone too. And it's under $150, and you know what? You've got it in case of an emergency, and don't worry, Kitty got her broccoli. Now, hopefully we'll get some big tomatoes soon out of it, and the weather warms up. Getting up in the morning this early and stepping outside as the sun is rising and the hummingbirds are feeding, it has been in the 30s all week. But I have protected the tomato plant with a flag. Look at that, just with a clothespin, and the irrigation tubings are holding the flag so it is not laying on the tomato plant. That's Molly. Kitty's not coming out. She's got a heat blanket. It is cold outside and she has no interest in going out in the cold. But see that? The irrigation tubing held the flag up. So now I can just drape something over, and as soon as I know in the next couple days it's going to be fine because it's been in the tote greenhouse, I'll just put the stakes back in and keep it that way. So I hope you got some ideas on this, and it is so easy to do, so versatile. You can change it back and forth anytime you want. So with that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, and stay warm if it's cold in your area.